Hello everybody, welcome back. In this video we will be modeling this stool. I modeled this stool to practice some topology techniques that I had read and learned about, and hopefully by the end of this video you will be able to learn a thing or two based off of the mistakes that I've made and what I got right. If you enjoy this video, consider liking and subscribing, and without further ado, let's get to it. Alright, so I got my reference image here that I made. I will make this available for you. And the first thing that we are going to want to do is we are going to want to bring in a circle, and we're going to want to scale it down until it matches roughly the size of this. It doesn't need to be 100% perfect. Just try and get it to match up as close as you can. And that's probably fine. We're going to bring it up to match this edge. All right. Now what we want to do is we want to extrude it. So tab to enter edit mode, E, and then downward. Until it just hits that edge. I'm going to merge everything because I believe I hit E an extra time. And so that's going to give us this. Now, what we want to do is we want to look at it from the top, ES, and extrude it inward, probably till right about there. And then we want to get this top edge. The first thing that we want to do is we want to delete these inside faces. We're not going to need those. All right, so let's get this top edge. Let's go ahead and Control F, and let's do grid fill. And we'll do the same with this bottom edge as well, grid fill. And now we can go ahead and we can bevel these. So Control B, hit C, so clamping is on, and then bring them back, and we will do 3. And because we used clamping, we're going to want to merge by distance to make sure we don't have any overlapping vertices that are on top of each other. Now, let's go back into orthographic view. We're going to rotate it on the X90, and then we want this center edge to be straight up and down. So rotate Y 45, and then we're going to go ahead and go into X-ray mode, and we're going to bring it down here, and we're just going to try and get it lined up the best we can. Doesn't need to be perfect. All right, so what we want to do now is we're going to mirror this so that we don't have to worry about both sides. And so we're going to select that, make sure that we have everything, and that we're in X-ray mode, and we're just going to delete those faces. Now, what we want to do is we want to use the knife tool, and we want to cut out this groove here, but we want to do it in a way to where we have only quads. And so we would want to maybe go from this edge to here. And if you notice, we have 4 vertices. That is a quad. It is a face with 4 vertices, from my understanding. And so we want to go around and we want to cut this out, and we want to make sure we maintain that quad format. So let's go ahead and do that. We can just go like that, and look at that, we have another quad. So that's working out okay. And we can go from here to here. Oh, but look at that. If we do that, we're going to have a triangle. So we could probably go from here to here. And while that looks like a triangle, it is still a quad because we have 4 vertices. So let's go from here to here. We still have 4 vertices, so that's a quad. And then for this one, we'll go from here up to this vertice. Right, and that's just going to give us a big triangle. And we'll worry about that in a minute, because we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to go from here, and we're going to go to about right there. And then from here to about right there. And that's going to give us a quad. We have 2 triangles right here. We'll deal with those in a second. And then we'll go from here to here. Now that is actually going to give us 5 vertices. We will deal with that in a minute. Right now we're just We're just cutting this out. There's another quad. And another quad. Now, let's go and let's do this side. So we'll go from here to here. That gives us a quad. And then we'll go from here to, let's see, how would we want to do this one? Well, what we could do is rather than cutting it, we could just move this one up like that, move this one down. Actually, maybe let's exit X-ray mode so that we don't actually get vertices that are on the back. Okay, so we have a quad right here. We have a quad right here, right? We can get rid of this, and we'll still have 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go back in X-ray mode so we can kind of see what we're doing. Okay, so I mean, this kind of works out. We have a quad right here. We can move this down. So quad. Now this, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can move this up here. And if we were to put a cut from this one, oh, we gotta go back. If we were to put a cut from here to here. Now this side is a quad, and this side is a quad. And one thing I've been doing to test is, okay, so if we were to hit that, see how it selects all of this? That means those are all connected. Right? Okay, so now we want to figure out, all right, so we need a quad here. Let's go ahead and move this up so it matches our groove. We have a quad here, but we have a triangle here. So what can we do to fix that? Whoops. Well, these are already merged. I think I have auto merge on, actually. Yeah, I do. Let's turn that off. What we can do to fix this is we can take the knife tool again, and we can just cut from here to here to here. Hit enter. And now we have this, which all we'd have to do is we select this edge, and we can dissolve that. And we select this edge and dissolve that. Now we have this, and we still have a vertex right here. We can GG and move it to that, or you can just select it, select this, hit M, and go merge by last. But that also creates some issues there, it looks like. So let's put on auto merge. Let's select this, GG, just go like that. And then what we'll also do is we'll just merge everything by distance and see, it got rid of it. And so now these two are quads. We turn off X-ray, we can see it's a quad now. Okay, well that's cool. It works out, that's what we want. We can move this in like that. We can move this in like that. And we notice here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so how would we get rid of these 5 faces? Well, we can just split it, right? So take the knife tool and just split it like that. And now we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is a quad. We have 4 here, so this is a quad. And then we have 4 vertices for this face, so this is a quad. So this still looks like a triangle, but it's actually a quad because of the vertex right there, from my understanding. Anyway. And then we can move this down to match that edge, and we can just kind of go and get these to match the edges. Okay. Let's turn off X-ray so we don't get the edges from the bottom side confusing us. And let's just look at all this, and let's make sure we didn't break anything, and we don't have anything that isn't a quad. So we want to make sure everything only has 4 vertices. And we got 4 vertices here, and then we can go into face select, and look at that. It selects the entire thing all the way around. Now what we can do, we can go back into vertex mode, and we can kind of adjust this just to kind of make them a little the width between the edges a little bit even. Well, we will deal with that. We can always come back and adjust them later on, make them look a little bit more even. Let's go 3 to face select. Let's select that. And what we're going to do now is we're going to hit I and then O to outset. And we're going to get something like this, just to put a little bit of a border on it. Something like that. And then now we're going to want to hit E and just bring it down a little bit. Probably something like that. And so now we have our little inset, and we can come through and we can bevel this. But first what we want to do is we have some extra faces here, so let's get rid of those. Let's delete those faces. Go into edge select. Let's select this edge, and you notice the entire edge wraps around, and that's what we want. Same thing right here. The entire edge is wrapping around exactly as we want. Camera's kind of messed up. Hit period if that happens. We'll do this bottom edge too, and notice they wrap all the way around. And so now what we can do is Control B, and we still have clamping on. So that could be an issue. Let's try just doing the top ones, and they're just beveling them all the way. See, we have that. And the reason it's doing that is because we had clamping off. We're going to have some issues. But one thing we didn't do, I believe, is actually apply rotation and scale. So that's probably why we're getting some funky stuff with our bevels. Maybe. I don't remember if we did that or not. Let's see. Oh, maybe we did. We can just go like that. And we want this to be fairly rounded, so let's roll our mouse wheel up twice. So now we have this. And that is our groove. Now, what we're going to do now is go over here, and we're going to generate a subdivision surface. And we're going to see what that looks like. After we shade smooth, of course. Always want to shade some stuff smooth. Shade smooth. And so we end up with this. And if we were to add a mirror, well, we have kind of an issue because we need to set the origin and all that. So we're going to hit Shift S, and we're going to put cursor to world origin. And we're going to take this, and we're going to set origin to 3D cursor, and then geometry to origin. Now we have that. So let's turn our mirror off, and let's sort of get this handled. Because we could try that, but we're going to have a gap in there. So let's go to grid. And let's see if we can't snap it perfectly to that grid. And it doesn't look like it's going to let me. So let's just take that right there. Cursor to selected. Set origin to 3D cursor. Shift S, cursor to world origin. And then we can take this, selection to cursor, and that'll snap us to the world origin. Sorry, the camera's all messed up. But obviously, we're going to want to bring it up. So let's select it, GZ, and then just bring it up. And then we can also set origin to 3D cursor. Just to put it down at the bottom, we can turn our mirror back on, and we have this. Now you notice right off the bat, we do have some funky stuff going on, so we can sort of mess with the merge distance. So let's see if we can't just kind of fiddle with this a little bit. Okay, and that looks fine for the purposes of this video. All right, now let's go ahead and move this. We're not really going to need it too much, and I am going to make this available, like I said, but my goal is that you only use this as, you know, just a reference, and that this design in here, you do your own thing. You figure out your own thing and make it your own, make it unique, you know, because that's ultimately how you're going to learn. That's the best way to learn, is just to experiment, see what works, see what doesn't work, stuff like that. All right, so Now what we want to do is we're going to do the same thing for this inner groove right here. Oh, actually, let's go ahead and do this outer groove because this one's going to be pretty darn easy. We actually could probably even get away with putting a loop cut here and then just going like that, right? And then we could maybe just, we'll just leave it like that. But, ooh, wait a second. That didn't work. That put it on the other side. Let's see why. Let's turn our subdivision off. And I believe the reason it did that is because, we'll turn the mirror off as well. Oh, I see here. We got no line right there. So that's an easy fix, is select this, and hit J. Now we should be able to go like that when select the entire thing all the way around. And then we will just hit I to inset, but we want to press O again, otherwise it's going to outset us. Oh, but that's not exactly what we want, is it? No, it is not. So there's a couple ways we could probably fix this. We could just go like that. And just put another loop cut in there. 3 for face select, select that. And then we could inset this. Or not inset, but extrude this. Down like that. Maybe get it to match. So let's merge everything just in case. Yeah, see, we got rid of 68 vertices. Let's set this to edge snap. That way we can make this have the same depth as this groove right here. And then extrude, and we'll just snap it like that. 3 for face select. Let's go ahead and delete these extra faces. Delete face, and delete face, and then just go through and bevel. 2 for edge select, Shift Alt and click, Shift Alt and click, Shift Alt and click, and Shift Alt and click. Control B, bevel. Go ahead and merge everything by distance. Now let's go ahead and turn our subdivision surface back on, see how that looks. Oh, this looks a little bit narrow, so let's go through here. Press 1 for vertex selection, and let's just go into the graphic real quick. Let's just pull this out, kind of like that. Maybe do this one a little bit. Look at it, kind of see how it looks. Looks like it could probably be pulled out a little bit more. I want to make sure we get all of them though. Looks like we're missing a vertice in here. Yeah, we want all of our vertices. Oh, why are we not grabbing that? Let's turn our subdivision surface back off. Kind of look at it. Yeah, okay, let's back up a little bit, because I missed that one when I first selected them. Subdivision surface off, just to make it easier to see and to grab what we want to grab. And we'll just pull that, turn it back on, see what's going on. If it looks smooth and somewhat even. Yeah, I think that looks okay. We got some lumps right here. We could, you can go through and kind of tweak these however you want. Make them look a little better. But the goal of this video is just to show you how to do it. Oh, we got something going on right here. So subdivision surface off, and let's see. It looks like this was not. Yeah, so let's go ahead and let's just fix that real quick, which should be fairly simple. You just do it by eyeball. Just drag it like that, subdivision surface back on. Okay, that looks sufficient. Let's go through, look at the model. All right, so now let's go ahead and make this inner ring right here. We will go to the knife tool, and we're pretty much just going to do the same thing we've been doing. Go ahead and turn X-ray on, and just start making these cuts, paying attention to the number of vertices and quads and all that. See, See, we got a triangle here, so we'll probably might have to fix that. Same thing, if we do that, we'll have a triangle. So to fix this triangle, let's see, how would we want to do that? Well, one thing we could probably do, let's deselect that. Let's go into vertex. Back to the knife tool, we could probably cut it like this, and then put a cut there, and then put a cut right there. Or even better, we'll go back, and we'll put a cut right here, and then a cut right there, and then we'll do a cut right here, and connect that to that. So now we have quads, but we kind of jumbled this one up. So let's see how we can possibly fix that. And it looks like the easiest way to fix that would be to just go just like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. See? And then this, let's go ahead and turn that off. This is also a quad because it has 4 vertices. And so that looks all right. Okay, let's go back to our knife tool. Let's go ahead and deselect. Now we have this. So, okay, how would we fix that? Well, what we could do is make a cut from here to here. Select this that we just put in, and then just dissolve that. And now we have a quad right here, and we could take this vertice. Oh, we can't do that. We'll have to merge these ones, actually. So GG, move it to there. M, Alt N. No, not Alt N. Let's see. Merge by distance. There we go. And I think I actually have, yeah, auto merge on. So, okay, so now let's look at it. We have a quad here, quad here, quad here. This is a quad. This is a quad. And then what we can do is we can just slide these vertices over. Oh, we're getting that back one too, it looks like. Yeah. And just slide these vertices over until we get them where we want them to go. Let's go ahead and turn X-ray off. And turn it back on. So now we have our quads. And so we can just continue cutting along until we get what we're looking for. Let's test something. Let's go into select and see what happens when we start. So, well, we have that. Okay, well, let's take everything and merge by distance. And remember that little trick we did with the inset? Let's see what happens when we do that. I/O. Bring it out. Does it mess up our quads? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it does. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we don't have a quad here, so we need to fix that. And I think the easiest way to do that would just be to bring it across like that, right? Yeah. Okay. We'll bring it out like that. Make sure nothing crosses over. See, if we go too much, it's going to start crossing. We don't want anything to cross. But we could probably go like that. And then we can come through here and maybe straighten these out. Oh no, that kind of makes it look. Yeah, we'll just slide them. Slide these to kind of straighten them out. Okay. So now, let's take these faces right here and let's inset them. Let's turn subdivision surface off for a second. Inset this. Snap it to there so it's the same depth. Go into face select that face, select that face. Delete those faces. Looks like we have an extra edge right here. So let's delete those. We'll just merge everything by distance. Make sure nothing broke. I'm going to take this. I'm going to slide it down until it's like that. And then maybe take this and slide it over until it's like that. And then we kind of want to adjust these a little bit. Turn X-ray vision off. Let's select these. You see, they're going all the way through. That's a good sign. Is the bottom? Yep. Looks like, well, no, the bottoms aren't. And the bottoms come to about right there. So something's going on here that we need to figure out. Let's see what happens when we bevel. We want clamping on. We'll do 3. Okay. Now let's go back here. And let's select these. Let's kind of move these out a tad. Oh, maybe not. Let's see what subsurface looks like. That's what happens when we apply the subsurface, which doesn't look, I guess, too terrible. It's not as round as I would like it to be, but I guess we could put a couple edge loops in. Maybe one right there. Let's turn that off. One right there. And then we want to take the knife tool and we want to just connect this to the end. So that would be X. Just to make it straight. Go like that. Go back here. And then what is that vertex? Oh, okay, so that's on the other side. And S6, no, that's not what we wanted, SY0. There we go. Do that. Turn subsurface back on, and that kind of made it a little better. We could probably take this and move it over. So something like that. And maybe move that over like that a little bit. Okay, so that's rounder. We are going to need to take these vertices right here and move them down. Same thing with these. Take these, move them up. Because when we apply our mirror, that's what it's going to look like. So with that in mind, we want it to be a little bit more round, so just fiddle with it for a little bit until you get the shape you want, until you're satisfied with it. Like I said, it doesn't need to be exactly like the reference. Ideally, you want to just take the reference and use that to build your own thing, you know. It's all about creativity. We could even, you know, make a completely different shape. Let's see what happens when we just move everything in, you know, make kind of like a, would that be like a, I don't know what that shape would be called, but you know what I mean? I can create something like this. Bring everything back like that. Could probably even bring this back, make the top a little bit more pronounced. Go like that. Let's see, what else could we do? How else could we sort of manipulate this to be something a little bit more? We could put an edge loop, but you noticed here, what do we have here? We have an extra edge. We don't actually need these edges, because look, if we dissolve those, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we had an extra edge we didn't need, and we were able to get rid of it. Oh, we got some funky stuff going on there, though. Let's turn our subdivision surface off. Oh, yeah, look at that. I think that is because we moved this too far. Yeah, so we would have to move these to sort of back like that, and then we'll move this sort of back like that. Subsurface back on, and yeah, I think we're going to go with that shape. Like I said, it's not like the reference image, but creativity, experimentation, that's what it's all about. Now, if you notice on the reference image, in the grooves right here, we kind of have something coming up. You know, well, we can do that. Let's go ahead and we can put an edge loop in right here. And then we could just, okay, so it's going to be Z. Grab it on the Z, move it up like that. And the way I got that effect is I just beveled it with 2. And then bring it down to match the edge. I think I use vertex. I think vertex will be easier to do this. So Control B. Maybe not. How did I? Oh, yes, I was in. Okay, never mind. Scratch that. Yeah, just do 2 and then bring it down. Control B. Bring it down to it's roughly, I guess it'd be easier to look at it from a different angle. Let's back out of that. I go like that, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's good. And we could do the same thing with this. You know, just add an edge loop in there. And then move it out. You know, a little more than necessarily, and then bring it back with a bevel till it's roughly where we want it to be. And we could scale it in using Alt-S if we need to make it a little bit bigger to sort of fit the gap a little better. We can select it and maybe bring it down a little bit more. Let's say we wanted those to be a little bit more defined. We can, let's see if we can maybe throw an edge loop in there. We can, and so we can pull that edge loop up like that. Throw one on this side. If I can get it to go, throw it up like that. So that'll make it a little bit more defined like that. We could do it on the this side as well. Well, no, because we got the bevel there, so we're just going to leave that. But we could do it on this one. You know, throw an edge loop in, bring it up. Right here, edge loop in, bring it up. Oh, what did I do there? You know, make it the sides a little bit more defined. We could even throw one down on the bottom like that if we wanted to. I'll make something like that. And then we could do the same thing for this. It might be a little hard to see with the subdivision surface on it. Well, we don't really have a whole lot of room to work here though, but that's okay because we got this running all the way through, so we could maybe scale these in just a tad until they line up. Now let's see how that looks. Yeah, that looks pretty bad. You know, that's basics behind it. You know, I'm sure you guys get the idea. You know, there's a lot of stuff we can do. But so I'm going to go ahead and move on. Now, let's say we wanted to do something with this inside area here, kind of like what we have on the reference. We could probably go ahead and eye to inset, see if we can inset that a little bit. No, it's not going to let us. Okay, well, let's merge everything by distance. Maybe scale this. No, that doesn't want to work either. We could do, no, that's not good. All right, well, let's say we wanted like, let's see if we can do something with loop tools. You know, select those, circle. No, that ain't gonna work either. Okay, well, let's just mess around with it and see what we can do. See what we can come up with. I suppose having it set to face select would make insetting it a little bit easier. Turn on subdivision surface, and we get kind of something like that. Let's make sure everything's shaded smooth. It's not exactly as smooth as we'd want it. I guess we could go up to like 2, and that would smooth it out a little bit more. I'm not too worried about the polys on this, just because, yeah, this probably isn't going to be used in anything. And another thing we could do is Alt-N, and go into edit mode, select everything, Alt-N, and set face strength strong. I can go here, and let's make sure everything is facing outwards. Oh, would you look at that? All right. Recalculate outside, and yeah, okay. And say we wanted to do like a groove type deal in there, you know. Let's see, could we do that? Let's see here. Oh, what do we got going on right here? We have an extra something. Let's go ahead and merge everything. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to actually merge these together. Let's go ahead and do that. Make sure we don't have any more of those. Let's select all of this. Oh, we got one up here we need to merge together. So let's GG, auto merge, select everything. Okay. We could maybe see if we can Alt S and scale that out a little bit. GG, kind of move it to be more in the center. Kind of like that. And then we will move it up and do that lip deal. We're getting some funky stuff going on. Looks like we're crossing over there. So let's GG and let's go back and sort of move it a little bit more. And then see if we can't. Yeah, well, we're not going to get much from that, but let's see if our little bevel trick will work. Bevel with 2. Bring it back to about like right there. Well, that's good. That's good enough. Subdivision surface on it looks even better. So yeah. So we've completed our the seat part. I actually think it looks better than the original reference image. Next, let's go ahead and do the legs. All right, so before we get to the legs, let's go ahead and put some detail on the edge right here. So what we're going to do, we're going to turn off the mirror, we're going to turn off the subdivision surface. And the way I'm going to do this is, let's go ahead and set our transportation orientation back to global. Oh, let's go ahead, take this, and we will bevel with 2. Probably something like that. That's probably fine. We'll go into face select, shift alt and click these, and we will extrude along the normals. Just a tad. I don't know, maybe we don't want to actually do that. Maybe what we want to do is ES. Extrude it that way. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's better. Okay, so let's go ahead and delete these faces. All right. Now we just want to look at it from the side. Looks like we have some junk going on here. We got to realign these. So let's go ahead and select this, select that, select that, select this. Let's go ahead and move it until it's lined up. We'll do the same with this side. Until it's like that. Well, maybe. Looks like we missed one. There we go. Everything's nice and lined up. So now let's go ahead and let's bevel these. And we'll do 3. I'll turn clamping on. We'll do 3 of them. Something like that. And then we'll bevel this edge. It's kind of hard to see it. Bevel this edge right here, and we'll bevel this edge down here. Oh, preferably just those edges and not the center ones. Bevel those. Okay, let's throw an edge loop here. Throw an edge loop here. Shift Alt and click to get that. Let's go ahead, scale it out kind of like that. And then we'll turn this back on, and then we'll do our little trick with the beveling. Oh, maybe we'll bring it out more. So Shift S, or Alt S rather. Bring it out to about like right there. Be to bevel. We only want 2 lines. And how's that looking? Not quite. So let's back up and do that again. Yeah, that looks fine. And rather than using edge loops, what we'll do for these is we will select them and Shift E, and we'll do creases. And that's going to give us this. I think that looks pretty decent. All right. What we can also do is creases. I guess we beveled those, so we're not going to worry about it. Okay, so let's move on to the legs. All right. So if you end up with something like this, after applying your mirror, just go to the merge, make sure it's checked, just turn it up until it disappears, and it'll go right away. All right, let's do our legs. Now, since this piece is done, what we can do is we can start applying everything. And so let's apply the weighted normal. Let's apply our mirror. And let's apply our subdivision surface. And so now this is one object. And we can go into orthographic, GZ, oh, not the whole thing, just the mesh. Move it up. We'll actually go like that. And selection the cursor. And just move it up until it matches somewhat. Doesn't need to be perfect. All right. So we want to do this little skirt thing right here. So let's look at that. Let's see, how will we do that? Thinking the easiest way to do it would just be to select these faces, and extrude them down a little bit. You know, however long you want this little skirt thing to be. I'm only going to make mine go about like that. We can get rid of this inner edge loop, so dissolve that. We can select this, and bevel with 3 or 2 or whatever you want to do. It does not matter. All right, now let's start getting those legs going. Let's just let's bring in a cylinder, scale it way down. I'm not going to worry about rotating it, and you'll see why in a minute. Scale it down a little more. Mainly just want to get it to the right diameter. You know what? Since these are just legs, let's go ahead, back up, and let's decrease the number of sides. Oh, my There we go. We'll do 24. Go ahead and scale it down, move it up. And let's go ahead and turn that off. Let's move it over. Let's look in this format. And we'll put it right about there, I think. Let's see, I won't move it over. Make it match that. We'll just pull it till it sits just inside. Oh, see, well, that might not work. Our ledge sticks out a little bit further. Oh, a little bit further in than the other one, so that's okay. Because we mainly just want the reference for the angle. Let's enter edit mode, edge select, and then let's just pull this down. And then what we could do is we can just pull it over like that. So we got that. Right on. Let's go ahead and apply rotation and scale before we forget. And then shade smooth, which is going to look terrible right now, but that's okay. Let's go here, set origin to geometry, set 3D cursor to selected, and then set this origin to 3D cursor, and let's see if we can't get a mirror on this thing. So generate mirror, okay. And then we want to do it in the Y as well. And that's going to give us something like that. And we're going to want to look. Let's focus on that. We're going to want to look in this view, and we just want to, oh, wait a second. Let's wireframe, because we want to select everything. Oh. Select everything. You see what we did wrong here? Like this. Just like that. And we kind of just want to bring these out a little bit so they're not straight up and down. Something like that. Maybe bring these out. Yeah, that looks fine. We will look at it from this view. Let's see where we're at with that. Okay. So, we'll go into edit mode. We're going to drop an edge loop right there. Drop an edge loop right here. ES to extrude these out. Oh, wait a second. Before we do that, let's make sure we have rotation and scale. Okay, so ES. Ooh, but see what it's doing? We don't like that. We don't like that at all. So we need to figure out why it's doing that. Extrude along normals, that's what we want. Okay, so we'll do that. We'll select these edges and we will bevel those till they're, we'll do 3. And let's bevel the inside ones too. So let's get out of that. Bevel these until we get, yeah, a rounded thing like that. Go back to X-ray mode. Drop an edge loop right there. Drop an edge loop. We gotta be up here to do that. We'll drop one right there. Drop one right there. And we'll drop one right there. And then what we'll do is get out of X-ray mode and we'll select these. And face selection. And once again, extrude faces along normal. We're going to bring these in like that. Edge selection, we'll select these. Edges right here. Go ahead and bevel all of those. Merge everything by distance. And then we'll go back into X-ray mode and do the same thing for this one. Okay, X-ray mode, go ahead and select these. Extrude faces along normals, bring them in. to match with those, but I don't think it's going to work like that. So let's just go ahead and just eyeball it. Yeah, I think it's fine. Edge select, we'll bevel these. Whoops, we didn't get these ones. So we end up with something like that. And then down here on the bottom, what we're going to do is add another edge loop right here. And then we'll take these faces and we will extrude along the normals. So it's just about, well, let's try ES. Yeah, that works. We'll go like that. That'll be a little different than what we had, but that's okay. We'll go like that. And we'll select everything, merge by distance. See, we got rid of 48, so that's a good thing for us to do. Select this, select this, select this. Bevel all of these. Make sure clamping is on. See, we got some really close stuff right there, so let's go ahead and merge by distance again. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to get rid of this, dissolve edge, and then we'll have to join these vertices again. Join those, make sure we didn't get rid of anything else, doesn't look like it. And we're going to throw an edge loop in here and then just scale that in and bevel it. And then we'll select this edge and we'll bevel it just ever so slightly with 2. Shade smooth. And that is our legs. Now for the little support beams, we're just going to bring in a plane, scale it down till it's roughly like that. Rotate X 90, scale on the Z, turn X-rayed mode back on so we can kind of see what we're doing here. Enter edit mode and just move it by edge. I'm going to bring these edges inside of the legs. And we want to back out, apply rotation to scale, and we want to move this forward until it's about like that. And then select everything. We'll look at it from this view, extrude everything out. I don't know, probably like that. I think that looks fine. We need to focus on this real quick because we're going to have some faces we don't need. And also it's backwards. So let's go ahead and select everything, recalculate outside, turn off that. Let's select this, delete the faces, and go ahead and select this edge, select that edge. And we can give it a big bevel, or we can give it a small bevel. It's really whatever you want to do. I'm going to go like that. Maybe not give it too much of a bevel. Maybe just something like that. All right. And we're going to set the origin to 3D cursor. And let's see if we can mirror this on the Y. And we can. And so we'll go ahead and do that. Let's apply that mirror. Let's go ahead and duplicate. Rotate Z 90. It's going to give us that like that. The only issue I see is that we kind of want to move these on the Y a little bit just to kind of separate them a little bit. And so we're kind of too close together, and this one will just scale on the X. So it's something like that. All righty. So that is the stool. It's not the same stool, same basic concept, but for our little design up here, we did a little bit more, and than what I did in the reference photo. The legs are a little bit different, just a wee bit. It's a lot of triangles, but like I said, this isn't going to be really used in anything, and if it is, then I'll just model a low poly one and then practice baking high poly details into a low poly mesh, and I will make a video on that to show those who might not know how to do that, But that will be for another day. For today, we are done with this, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, once again, consider liking and subscribing, and maybe leaving a comment letting me know, hey, this was helpful. Hey, you could do this a little better. You know, I'm always open for constructive criticism, as long as it remains constructive. You know, let's try and avoid comments of "you suck." You know, that's not what this is about. You know, we're supposed to be helping each other. So, anyway, once again, hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.